Good morning, girls. So today we shall start with a new phylum, which is aves. Okay. Now, when we talk about aves, under chordata, we have finished with the pisces, then the amphibians, then you have what is called as the reptiles. Then we come to the fourth, which is the aves. Under aves, we study what is called as Columba livia. This is an typographical error. It is Columba livia. There is no I here. Okay. So, birds belong to class aves. The most distinguishing feature of bird is that the possession of feathers. You know, the special characteristic of bird is flight. And with what they fly? The feathers. So the study of birds is called as ornithology. Please remember these things for your objective. A bird is feathered, which means it has feathers. Bipedal means it has two legs. It has two limbs with which it walks. Bipedal, flying vertebrate which possesses wings. So the external and internal organization correlates with its aerial habit. When you study the full type study, you will understand, because internally much of the organs, all the other organ systems are so reduced that whole of the body is occupied by the lungs and the accessory air sacs, so that the body is lighter and it is able to fly. When we go in detail with the type study, we'll study there. Okay, so basically their external and internal organization correlates with its aerial habit. And more than 500 species of pigeon exist throughout the world, but in India you find only around 10 species, and Columba livia is found throughout the India. Okay, so when you talk about classification, it belongs to phylum Chordata, class is aves, order is Columbiformes, genus is Columba, and species is livia. When we talk about pigeon, these are the external features. Basically, the whole pigeon body is divided into the head, the neck, the trunk, and the tail region. These are the four major divisions. The head has the eyes, the cirri. This is the external nostrils. The nostrils are covered by a layer, a skinny structure called as the cirri. You have the beak, you have the neck position, and this is the external ear opening. In the trunk region, you have the feathers. You have the different types of feathers, the contour feathers, the wing coverts, you have the black barbs, you have scales on the leg, you have the toes, then the wing feathers, tail feathers. And tail feather basically acts as a, what do you call, when it flies, it tries to navigate it. Okay, then you have the when you see the toes, you will have the front three toes which are clawed, and at the back there is one toe which is the hind toe or the hallux, because when it sits on a tree trunk or something, it helps to hold it tightly. The front three will be in the front, and this hind toe will be at the back, trying to give a proper hold when the bird tries to sit on a twig or a branch of a tree. And these are the tail feathers, which I told now, just we are called as rectrices. This is the external feature of pigeon. So the compact body, boat-shaped streamlined body is well adapted for aerial mode of life. It's a streamlined body. In fishes also you have streamlined body, but they are adapted for swimming in water. Here they are adapted for flight. The body of pigeon is divisible into head, neck, trunk and tail. Head is comparatively small, and at the end, one second. Head is comparatively small and at the anterior most part of the body. Now, when we talk about beak, beak is present anteriorly and is formed by the elongation of upper and lower jaw. So it is upper and lower jaw which is pulled out to form the beak, and it is devoid of teeth. So the base of the beak, you have the external nostrils which is overhung by the swollen or sensitive soft tissue called as the cirri. This also can be asked as a 2-mark question or even in objectives. Eyes are prominent, round and laterally present on the sides. Laterally means on the sides. Eyes are protected by an upper eyelid and lower eyelid, and also a transparent nictitating membrane. Now the posterior of the eyes, you have the ear openings which lead to the tympanic membrane by a short tube called as the external auditory meatus. These are the internal structure of the ear. So neck is flexible, cylindrical and long, which connects the head with the trunk. The spindle-shaped trunk bears a pair of wings and a pair of legs. So the cloacal aperture opens ventrally at the hind end of the trunk. Dorsally, the base of the tail has a knob-like papilla which bears the opening called of the preen gland or the uropygeal gland. It is the only cutaneous gland which is present and secretes oil, which is used for lubricating the feathers. Lubricating of feathers is called as preening. So even this gland, preen gland or uropygeal gland can be asked, or the process of preening also can be asked. What is preening? So these are all, make a note of it. It can be asked in 2 marks also. The tail is used as a rudder in flight. I told you, right? Like a navigation, left, right, straight, north, east. So it is used as a rudder in flight. The forelimbs are modified into wings. The wings have 3 typical regions: the upper arm, which is called as the brachium, lower arm, the antebrachium, and the hand, which is the menis. There are 3 clawless and imperfectly marked digits are present on each hand. While at rest, each forelimb is folded in the form of a Z. During flight, they are external. That is the wings, that is the side feathers. They are placed in a Z-like structure. So when they are at rest, they are folded in. When they open up, they look like a Z-like structure. With the modification of forelimbs for flight, the whole weight of the body is supported by the hind limbs, the legs. Okay. So while the bird is at rest or walking, the hind limbs are therefore attached to anterior part from the trunk to balance the body and support the weight of the body at rest. They are warm-blooded animals, which are also called as homeothermic. Next is called as the exoskeleton. What is exoskeleton? The external features what are present, or the external skeletal structures of the aves or the birds are called as the exoskeleton. The exoskeleton of pigeon is derived from the epidermis, the outermost layer, and it's formed in the form of horny claws, scales, and feathers. Beaks are used for ingestion, fighting, and preening of feathers. These are the 3 main functions of beaks. One is ingestion of food. Second is as a defense mechanism for fighting. Third is preening of feathers. Matlab, you lubricating the feathers. So claws are used for walking and perching. The claws which are present in the toes, they are basically used for walking on the ground and perching on the trees. Epidermal scales are present on the foot, and the entire body is covered by the feathers. Arrangement of the feathers in the body is called pterolysis. Again, note it down for 2 mark. Arrangement of feathers on the body of the bird is called as pterolysis. When you talk about feathers, there are 3 types of feathers. The large ones are called as the quill feathers, which are present on the wings and tail, and they are basically used for flight alone. Then you have what is called as contour feathers, which form a covering for the whole body and the phyllopumes. They line between the contour feathers. And the third one is the nestlings are also covered by what is called as down feathers, which resembles the phyllopumes. So basically, how many types you have? Contour feathers, sorry, quill feathers, the first one, which is present on the wings and tail. The contour feathers, which forms a covering over the body and lie between, and the phyllopumes lie between the contour feathers. And the nestlings are covered by what is called as the down feathers. Now, out of these 3, we'll study the structure of quill feather. The quill feather, it has a stem or a scapus, and it is divided into lower hollow part called the calamus or quill, and an upper solid portion called rachis. Now, all of you in a childhood would have seen a, what do you call, a feather of a crow or any bird, right? And in olden days, it was used to write. They used to dip it in the ink and write. So this is the part which helps in this writing. That is the lower part, that is the stem or the scapus, and this lower hollow part, which is called as the calamus, is hollow. So when you put inside the ink bottle, through capillary or just pressure, it rises up, and it was used for writing. So called calamus or quill, and an upper solid part which is called as the rachis. So the lower end of the stem has an opening called inferior umbilicus, which receives a dermal papilla supplying nutrients and pigment for the growing feathers. See, when you talk about pigments, as far as crow is concerned, it is black, whereas in pigeon you have different colors, right? White, gray, and you even have other birds like parrots, green. So all these things are supplied to the feathers by what is called as the dermal papilla. Okay. A second opening, the superior umbilicus, occurs at the junction of quill and the rachis on the inner face of the feather. Close to this opening is a small tuft of soft feathers called as the aftershaft. Now, attached to the rachis are small filament or barb. The rachis with the barbs constitute the vein or the waxillum. That is, the rachis, the barb together forms what is called as the vein or waxillum. Each barb is fringed with an oblique set of processes called barbicules, which form a minute hooklets or barbicels by adjacent barbs are hooked together to form a continuous blade for striking the air during flight. Now, I'll show you all these things in the diagram. Now, see, this is the structure of a quill feather. Now, this is what is called as the umbilical groove, right? And at the top part, it is a solid structure which is called as the rachis or shaft. But whereas at the lower part, it is quite swollen and it is hollow, which is the calamus. Okay, this is where you have the inferior umbilicus, and at this part you have what is called as the superior umbilicus. Now this is the region I told you, when you write it with the feather, the ink rises only up to this place. Okay, now this is the after shaft. You can see these barbicles are not attached to each other. They are called as hyporachis or the after shaft. Now throughout the blade, or the what do you call this, rachis or the shaft, you have these barbicles coming out from both the sides. Now these barbicles are attached to each other by barbicels, so that when they try to move during the flight, they do not separate out from each other and they are attached to each other. Now this whole sets of barbicles which are present, they are called as, when they are with the rachis of the shaft, this is the inner web or the vein, and this is the outer web. In a feather, you can always see one side will be broader and the other side will be less broader. So the one which is broader is called as the inner vein or the inner web or the vein, and the one which is lesser wider is called as the outer web or the vein. So this is the structure of quill feather. With this, I come to end of this presentation. Next we will go to I will do the next one in the next video. Thank you.